We're live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. This is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. 4 days since fishers were washed ashore, some dead. Today, we hear from the Fisheries Authority on what preliminary investigations reveal and enter some coastline communities as it emerges. Several of the fishes have already been consumed, sold and are still being sold. Chief Executive of the Ewutu-Senya Municipal Assembly suspects adults could be behind the action of the teenagers who are charged with the murder of a 10-year-old boy for quick money rituals. We hear his reasons as police hierarchy and Central Region Minister hold meetings with the family of the deceased. Also coming up, Ghana records 771 deaths in first 3 months of this year. More than 300 of those from motorcycles. We break down the statistics, which means 8 people died each day by road accidents between January and March this year. You'll see excerpts from our latest Hotline documentary, Crushed. And the pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Do join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on our YouTube handles, our YouTube channel, and on our other social media handles. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is the pulse. Please be my guest. You're welcome. For over 2 decades, he has been driving without any incident. It is a reason why 39-year-old Kwame Ofori had high hopes on 7th February 2017 that he would return from his daily routine to meet his family in peace. Well, that did not happen. On that day, his long-standing record of 0 accident got broken at Nsawam and resulted in the amputation of his leg.
Kwame Ofori, another victim of road traffic accident, can relate. He has been driving since 1991 and has never been involved in any accident. On 7th February 2017, he was driving one of Ghana's famous intercity buses, VIP, from Sunyani to Accra, with 31 people on board. At Nsawam, a long truck veered into their lane and hit the bus.
The Mirasa is not a honor here much. Almost much was until the grabos. I can see any good. The sea was a shame. Me as a control car and Timmy and a bridge now almost fast without much one. Now, me right left side, no. So, can't tennis. The left side in a ball bleeding.
The accident happened at 2:30 a.m. and they got no help until 6 a.m. So for about 4 hours, Kwame's left leg was trapped in the wreckage. The pain was more than he could bear. He watched helplessly as he bled while others around him screamed in pain.
Me catch a soldier in German chance or Kanjum Zumunyana Menan Muse. I see an eye ha because already Namit told me the Misaka. Muja, Namisawina Muja.
Kwame was the only person who got injured in this accident. By the time they reached the hospital, his left leg was literally dead and had to be amputated from above the knee. 39-year-old Kwame received no compensation from his car owner or the insurance company.
I can't be blessed because so we there I'm in person my boss right.
Kafra. Ya say holding anka a manko fon so nsu nyansa na kwa na ekoso.
Onze ya mama isu no. Do. Afa no me biblim. Na like it is a planted is na ko pe bibia betina Problems at home.
It's one of the many chilling stories that you'll hear in the JoyNews latest Hotline documentary, Crushed, by Seth Kwame Boateng. The year 2021 is just a little over 3 months, and already the country has recorded 771 deaths from road accidents alone. In simple terms, what that means is 8 people have died from road accidents on a daily basis between January and March. That's the latest statistics released by the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Police Service. Dr. Dominic Konedu-Yeboah is head of trauma and orthopedics at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. And he says this is a clear indication that the country has not placed the needed premium on this preventable canker.
Road safety, one, is not given the attention it deserves, and 2, road traffic related deaths and disabilities are also not being given the appropriate attention. There have been a lot of argument that if you look at deaths due to malaria, deaths due to HIV, and deaths due to tuberculosis, if you combine all of them, they are still not up to deaths that are registered from road traffic trauma. So looking at it, it means that we need to focus and redirect our attention to road traffic accident. The other diseases are important, but we don't have to neglect road traffic accident in favor of the ones I've mentioned, because it is killing people more than all the other diseases that we are talking about put together. Within a period of a week at the Accident Emergency Center of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, we recorded an average of 25 fractures, 25 broken bones, involving people of various age groups are registered at this center. Now, these injuries come in various patterns. Sometimes the patient will come, or the person will sustain the injury, and the injury will cause what we call the death of part of the body. So at the time the person reaches the hospital, probably his leg is not viable, his arm is not viable. So the best thing the doctors can do to salvage the life of such a person is to amputate or remove the dead part of the body.
Dr. Dominic Konedu-Yeboah revealed this in our latest Hotline documentary, Crushed, which is airing on Monday, the 12th of April at 8:30 p.m. here on the JoyNews channel. And one person has also died in a road accident at Afo-Nkwanta in Kumasi on Wednesday. The driver of a Mercedes-Benz bus loaded with goods is said to have lost control due to a brake failure. The vehicle overturned, killing the 45-year-old driver Idrisu. His assistant, who sustained injuries, is receiving treatment at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. Here is an eyewitness's account.
I came with him this night from Accra. His vehicle's brake failed at Afo-Nkwanta here. That is what resulted in the accident.
Benz bus container driver no di Idrisu.
The driver's name is Idrisu, 45 years of age. He died instantly, but his mate suffered injuries and has been rushed to the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital.
Na mate nso so ne nsabu na mate ndo de na kɔ Komfo-Anokye emergency. Anti sia driver no de on de wa enya nyame ade anti de na kɔ moche.
Now, the Central Regional Minister, Justina Marigold Assan, is assuring family members of the 10-year-old boy who was allegedly killed by 2 teenagers that the culprits will be punished. During a visit to commiserate with the grieving family, she urged parents to prioritize the welfare of their children and ensure they are living in accordance with the morally accepted behaviors.
It's quite unfortunate to have a situation like this where our own young children, 16, 17, can take somebody's life. In fact, it's so mind-boggling. Can't just understand the motive behind what they did, even the courage they got to do what they did. Very unfortunate, and we pray that we will not experience this again in the land of this country. We are praying that this one will go very far from us. On behalf of the president, we came this afternoon to see the family, to wish them well, to send the president condolences messages to them, and to also assure them that they are going to get justice for what has happened. We cannot sit aloof for people to continue taking lives like that. And we know if you're able to give them justice, then it's going to deter others from doing same. We have also assured them of government commitment to support them in any way that is possible. For Kaswa, we all know there are so many things happening, but we are also appealing to the general public to be security conscious. Should know that we are in trying times and we need to be careful. We need to be careful of what we are doing and then stay alert, especially mothers taking good care of their younger ones. We need to know where our children are going, where they are playing, and when we even send them, we need to follow suit to know that our children are safe. So we'll keep you posted anything that is coming up.
At least want the body released to them. How soon can they have that?
I promised them that they're going to have it tomorrow so that they can have a befitting burial for him on Friday. Thank you.
The Central Region Minister there. Now, family members of the deceased have been appealing to the police to release the body for burial. The spokesperson, Samid Akalilu, says that's the only way that they can quickly get some closure. A planned burial on Tuesday could not happen, as police say it is yet to complete the investigations.
Counseling units of the Ghana Police Service just left here. They are heading to Accra now. They have been meeting the family and they have been counseling the family, or providing psychological services to the family. I have with me here the spokesperson for the family members of the deceased. I'm going to have him introduce himself and we'll start the conversation. So, what's your name?
My name is Samed Akalilu. Samed Akalilu.
Samed Akalilu.
Yes.
Tell me, what was the session like, the counseling session like with the Ghana Police Service?
First of all, I think that let me praise the Ghana Police Service for that top-notch professionalism. I think they said the counseling was super because I sat in the counseling service where they were talking to my sister, and what they did was they divided the family, the core family, the nuclear family into two: a male counselor dealing with the males, and a female counselor. I think her name is ACP Phyllis Oseit, dealt with my sister. My sister has one daughter, and the daughter. Then the male counselor dealt with my brother-in-law, that's my sister's husband, and two of our sons. Okay. And so it was solid. They actually engaged us on issues of trauma and all of that.
Okay. Okay.
Solid.
Okay. And I understand they'll be coming back to provide psychological services again after the burial, or what?
Yeah, so that's the promise, at least Madame ACP Phyllis Osei gave. She took our numbers, she willingly gave her contacts out, and she said that we shouldn't even wait till burial and after burial. Any moment that some of us see that there are issues that would necessitate counseling, we should just reach out to her and they'll be more than willing. And she promised that even on the day of burial, once we get a signal that this is when and whatever, we are expecting that the burial will be tomorrow, all things being equal. I should call her and inform her, and even if she doesn't come, she'll get officials from her office to come and commiserate with us, and any time there is a need for psychological services, they'll be doing that. And even after the burial, they are more than willing to come and support. We are most grateful.
And you have been appealing to them to release the body of the deceased, of 10-year-old Ishmael.
That's correct.
Why though?
So it's so because this is uncharacteristic of a Muslim dead body. I mean, we all know that for us as Muslims, the moment you are dead, the next available opportunity you are buried. And so for what has happened, that is the greater part of our trauma so far. Yes, we've lost Ishmael. We are not going to get Ishmael again forever. But our major worry now is that we are not getting the body as early as we want. In fact, we went to the court yesterday. Our expectation was that we'll get Ishmael and bury him so that we can put a closure to that aspect of the issue and focus on the legal aspect and issues of justice and all of that. Lo and behold, that never happened. So we are appealing to the Ghana Police Service, from the president, who is the commander-in-chief, to the lowest person, to come to our aid. The police must expedite action and ensure that tomorrow that we are promised, we'll get our body and bury Ishmael so that the rest can be continued. That is our major cry now.
Okay. And what reason were you given yesterday? Because yesterday I know family members had gathered here in anticipation of the arrival of the body for burial.
Well, we're giving reasons that the autopsy and investigative processes had not been completed as of the time we were in court to get the body, and that we were very shocked anyway, without prejudice to how the case will go. This is a case where at least 2 parents of the young people who did the killing have attested that they are on record, public record. In fact, a while ago, one of the parents even called my sister, and of course my sister handed over the phone to me. He is grieving and said that he's more than willing to cooperate to ensure that justice is done. So for us, we are shocked that with the litany and a plethora of evidence, of course, without prejudice, they are doing their professionals, we know that, but we just feel that there is enough prima facie case that Ishmael's body shouldn't still be kept as of now. It should be released to us. So they said they haven't concluded, and we are hoping that on the basis of things happening from yesterday and today, we should have our body tomorrow.
Okay. So how is the family taking this? You have been with the mother of the deceased, you've been with the father of the deceased as well. Traumatizing situation, you know. How is the family taking this?
Especially for my sister, she is still living in a state of disbelief. And you should expect that, because whilst Ishmael was very close to the father, he was more closer to the mother, because the father, who is my brother-in-law, works or lives in our hometown in the Ochi region. Okay. So he comes occasionally. So it's a mom, my sister, who is like, Ishmael was the last born, if you like. And so whatever
he was the last born?
Yes, that was.
How many children?
So 4, and Ishmael was the last of the 4.
Okay. How many males, how many females?
So 3 males, and we have 1 female. And so Ishmael was like the mommy's boy, if you like. So my sister appears to be, I'm not a psychologist, but that's what I see, to be much more traumatized. Of course, women are more emotional, we all know all that. So it's been very traumatizing to the family. It's been very difficult for the family. It's been a moment of disbelief, a moment of shock, a moment of melancholy. And the family is still yet to come into terms, especially if you look at the camaraderie, the relationship between the young boys or the young men who did this killing and Ishmael, to the extent that they could come eat from our home, from my sister. My sister is like a philanthropist. She cooks food, she sells, and part she gives to anybody who needed to eat. And so
sister knows the 2 suspects.
Yes, especially for one of them. He is actually, I mean, that's the house. That's the house of one of them. So it's less than 30 minutes, 30 meters if you like. Yeah. So it's like they lived with us like we're one, you know.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
You're welcome.
And you have our condolences.
Thank you so much. Okay. We thank you also for helping fight this canker.
We just heard from spokesperson for the family of 10-year-old Ishmael, who was killed here, just some meters away from where we are standing.
Maxwell Akbagba sent that report earlier. Now, the regional minister also assured the family that the body will be released for burial, hopefully tomorrow. Maxwell is joining me from the family home. Hello, Maxwell.
Well, just some minutes ago, we had a member of the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament. She is also the Karachi West MP, Helen Ntoso. She just left the family house here. Now, all morning, we've been stationed here, and the family house has been very busy. It is now seeing some level of quiet after the many activities and the many visitors who came here today. Earlier in the morning when we were here, personnel of the counseling unit of the Ghana Police Service were here to provide psychological services to the family. Just some minutes ago, like I mentioned, I had interactions with the Karachi West MP Helen Intoso, and she was saying that this is a matter she would raise with her colleagues at the Defense and Interior Committee. She says she cannot understand or wrap her mind around how young boys will be able to kill someone like that. For her, it's not just a national issue, it is also a personal one, because she says she's somehow related to father of the deceased. She really did not know that the son, the son of the man that he knows actually lives here. So he only came here and then realized that no, that was the situation. She had the issue in the media space, and then I realized that no, it was a cousin who is actually affected by this situation. So she came here in her capacity as a relative and then also as a member of the Defense and Interior Committee. She says she's also concerned about the proliferation and activities of fraudulent spiritualists or persons parading themselves as money doublers. And she says that the NTA and then the National Media Commission and other stakeholders would have to put in efforts to arrest persons who promise get rich quick, who propagate get rich quick messages. She says that if we are unable to do this, a section of the population will be caught in this web, and they will continue to do this. So she's saying that it is about time the NMC and then other stakeholders clamp down on the activities of these fraudulent spiritualists who propagate get rich quick messages. She's also concerned about parenting style. She says it also comes down to parenting, because she says sometimes some parents get busy with work activities and all of that, and it becomes difficult to check their children. So she's saying that it is important for parents to actually pay attention to that side as well. She left here just some minutes ago, but just about 20 minutes ago I had interactions with a young man who told me that he knows one of the suspects inside out. He described one of them as a church boy who later drifted into other delinquent, behaviors. He says that he used to attend church with one of the suspects, and he was a very humble boy until things changed when he reached an adolescent age. So he says that he got very angry. Stanley, who I spoke to, is actually a footballer. In a video that has gone viral from the Kaswa police station, you could see a visibly shaken and angry Stanley actually trying to hit the suspect, one of the suspects, whilst he's in the custody of the police. I asked him why that happened, and he told me that he was very, very angry and he couldn't just explain his frustrations. He tells me that 10-year-old Ishmael, who lived just in this house, was one of the boys who always carried his boots when they were going to play football on the field. He says always when he's going to the football field, it was Ishmael who would accompany him to go and play football. So for him, he's trapped in between, because he knows the deceased and then he knows the suspects as well. The suspect he described as a church boy who he grew up with, traveled with him to many places. He's more or less like a family friend. And then little Ishmael also, his friend, he was grooming, he was training to grow up to become, a footballer. And this incident actually happened to him. So he said he was very angered by what happened, and he couldn't resist the urge to actually beat the suspect whilst he was in the custody of the police. Indeed, we've seen that video where one of the suspects was actually warning him that I'm going, and then when I come back, you'll see what will happen, to you. We've been speaking to a lot of the people who live here in this community. Many of them are not forthcoming with the kind of people or the kind of persons these two suspects are. Those who were able to provide information were not willing to go, to do it for us to film them and record them for fear of being implicated during police investigations. But they told us, that indeed they know one of the suspects. They say that he's part of the first batch of SHS students who went to school just some days ago. And then the second suspect also, we are told, is currently in classes. Many of them have uncomplimentary things to say about one of the suspects. They say they are not surprised that he's embroiled in this whole incident. But one of the suspects, they say that they really did not think that he could, do that. But this suspect we are talking about, we are learning, was the one who actually got the contact of the traditional priest, the spiritualist, and made contact with a spiritualist. We are told that he actually contacted the other suspect who is considered, who many say they are not surprised that he was able to do that. He contacted him and then brought him over to his residence just about 100 meters away from where I'm standing, and then the killing happened, in that structure. So one of the suspects, not a lot of bad things to say about him, but the other, some of the things I'm unable to say because it could be prejudicial to the case which is pending before courts. Give to you.
Information you've been able to gather within this very short period. Thank you, Maxwell. But hang on for me. You spoke earlier to the MCE for the area, and I can see the sweat on your forehead, Maxwell. Good job, by the way. But the MCE says there is a jurisdiction problem here. But before we talk about the jurisdiction problem, he suspects that there could be adults behind these teenagers who may have asked them to perpetrate this crime.
Exactly. I asked him about the advertisements, the open advertisements by spiritualists and then traditional priests, because driving around town, you will see some of these advertisements hanging on electric poles and other structures. So I asked him about it, but he told me, he was emphatic that these things have not come to his attention, and that if it comes to his attention, you're going to deal with it. But he agrees that indeed there could be some persons who are behind this act. He also seemed not to be able to understand how children of that age will be able to kill another, another child in that gruesome manner. So he suspects that there may be some, persons behind the act. In fact, I've been asking the Central Regional Commander, who was here with the Central Regional Minister, Justina Marigold Hassan. I asked the Central Regional Police Commander whether they have been able to whether they have been able to, to arrest or get any information that will lead to the arrest of this fraudster of a spiritualist that we are talking about. But she tells me that she's unable to provide any information at this point. I pushed further to ask about the activities of fraudulent, traditional priests openly advertising. If you drive into the Central Region, you see that within the Central Region itself, you see people openly advertising. She told me that she could not, respond to it because investigations, are still underway. So as it stands now, we're still waiting for updates from the police on what has happened to the traditional priests, because yesterday in court we were told that they were still, they were still investigating and they were still working things out to inch closer to the suspects so they can arrest them, so they would help, with investigations. But it stands now, the traditional priest has not been arrested. But we know, we've been told by police that this spiritualist actually operates and resides in the Volta region. Give to you.
Maxwell, I think I should leave you to wipe off the sweat at this point, but thank you for that comprehensive report, Maxwell Agbagba, there, our correspondent on the ground for us on this murder case that's been looked into by the police. You heard him say the MCE believes that there could be adults behind this. But of course, you also heard him say a lot of things about these two individuals who have been arrested, and actually what even happened when they were taken in by the police, the moment it happened, when he says one of the suspects threatened someone who attempted to hit him that he will be back from jail to deal with him. Let's hear from former President John Agyekum Kufuor, who is urging authorities to clamp down on activities of traditional priests who are using the media to propagate a get rich quick message.
Rents and backwardness. You know, how could young people? What do they know? And unfortunately, you media people too, you are giving so much exposure to tricksters and fraudulent people promising everything. When you look at them, you should know that these are people who really, who are themselves just bad and ignorant. And that's not the way for our society to go. So I think media, the editorship of your institutions should rise to the occasion and cut out anything that would defraud society and also make asses of the community. We need to do that. Media and of course the authorities to, if you like, social and community leadership should come up and tackle all these people who are now virtually hijacking the airwaves with vain promises and trickery. They should be earlier eradicated than even some of the diseases we're talking about.
As former President John Agyekum Kufuor, let's hear from the Minority Chief Whip, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak, who believes that the rise in indiscriminate public advertising of spiritual practices can be regulated by legislation. He's advocating a private members' bill spearheaded by religious leaders to push for the sanitization of the television programming. Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak was reacting to the killing of this 10-year-old boy, Ishmael, by these teenagers who have been charged with the murder of the 10-year-old.
This murder these guys have committed in the name of rituals, that's a big crime. Are we going to sit unconcerned and pretend that nothing could be done, or in the name of religious freedom, so people can advertise what we all see bluntly as lies, and we sit unconcerned? The Media Commission, their hands are tied. I think the laws must be tweaked. And I think the best time to do is now. If the two major political parties can bring their heads together, let's team up and deal with this matter, because if not, it will get out of hand, because it's already getting out of hand. I think government, if government is going to do it, it's faster, because they have the state machinery from the Attorney General's office to draft the bill. I mean, go through it, it's quicker. Yes, I believe, or amendment of our laws. I think we can amend portions of our laws to make sure that, it's not like this homosexuality. Now we are trying to do private members, because governments have been talking about it and nobody is taking the bold steps. So some of us as members of parliament are now coming together with some religious leaders to come with a private members bill. And we have even given ourselves, latest by June, we should start it on the floor of parliament. And fortunately, women's speaker is in agreement, and we are going to do it. I think that something like this is something that a group of parliamentarians should also be interested. But if government is going to do it, it's faster and easier. If government is not going to do it, some parliamentarians should be able to take steps for us to get some religious leaders, so that we are doing it in a way that does not have the unintended consequences of rooking in and preventing genuine persons who want to pursue their religious belief. But those who are quackery, we will not be able to stop it.
As the Minority Chief Whip, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak in Parliament there. I want to take a very quick break on this one. When we return, we'll tell you about the fish that were washed ashore. Some dead. Well, you never know. You may just be eating some of that fish because they're already on the market. Well, there you have it. Somebody who has just prepared some very nicely looking meal with some of those fish that were washed ashore. We'll tell you more about it when we return from this break. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Even before authorities have a full understanding of what happened to the fishes that were washed ashore on some beaches in Accra, it is emerging that some residents living along the beaches have consumed the fish. More than 60 dolphins and large numbers of different species of fish washed ashore along the coast in Axim, in the Nzema East municipality of the Western region, Osu here in the Greater Accra region, and Keta in the Volta region over the weekend have become a subject of debate. Some residents living along the coastline who spoke to JoyNews indicated that while some of these fishes ended up in homes, others are in the market. We'll be hearing from them shortly, but let's get on Zoom right now. Michael Arthur Dazi is director of the Fisheries Commission that was investigating what could have occurred for the fishes to be washed ashore. Mr. Dazi, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So last time I spoke to you on Monday, you said that the samples had been taken, seawater and the fishes, some have been taken, and that you are conducting your preliminary investigations. Tell us what you have found.
Thank you very much. I think we need to express the gratitude of the Honorable Minister, the Ministry, and the Commission to the media for the good work you are doing, collaborating with us to bring information to the public. I want to quickly stress on something, that the Keta situation is entirely different. I've kept on bringing information to the fact that we never had dead fish washed ashore at Keta as being reported, being speculated. Artisanal fishers landed tuna, and coincidentally, it was at the time that we had the Osu incident. So people felt that they had landed dead tuna, which was not the case. It was fresh tuna that they had landed.
Okay,
so
Mr. Dazi, that point has been well articulated. If you would please give us information on what your preliminary investigations have found.
Good. The tests are still ongoing. What the head of the fish health unit, the fish health veterinarian indicator was that they said they had actually observed that the dolphins were traumatized. So they are going further, they were stressed, they were traumatized. So they are going further to carry out the various investigations that they had lined up to investigate, including taking the offals and also taking the gills and taking the flesh to carry out examination. It's not only the Fisheries Commission that is conducting that. Food and Drugs Authority is also doing that. The University of Cape Coast, University of Ghana are also conducting investigations by having taken samples of the fish and samples of the seawater and the seaweed. So for now, we are very, very hopeful that the fish veterinarians will be able to get us some preliminary report. We wouldn't want to rush them. And at the same time, what we want to do is to coordinate the findings of all these institutions involved in conducting the investigations, and then we release one information to the general public.
Okay. What you say is that the preliminary investigations reveal that the dolphins we saw were traumatized, and that further investigations are required in this case, but you are waiting to gather information from tests or similar tests being organized by the FDA, UCC, University of Ghana, so that you can put together one comprehensive report.
Exactly so.
Monday, when I spoke to you, you indicated that the results will be ready. The result from this preliminary investigation will be ready on Tuesday. It's taking more than...
I said that, well, let's hope that by Tuesday we'll have some preliminary information.
Okay.
Preliminary information from our fish health doctors. And as I have variously indicated, We want them to do a very thorough work for us, because whatever findings that they bring will inform us as to the next line of action to take.
Okay.
We don't want that they will bring inconclusive report, and then when there's a recurrence, then we'll be found wanting.
Mr. Does it the dolphins? We've seen at least reports from Axim, for example, that people are already had chopped up some of the dolphins that were dead, and are already preparing them for market. Some have already started preparing food with it, etc. Did they give you any information when they say that the dolphins were traumatized? Did they give you any information, additional information, that eating these could be harmful to the health of people?
Our fish veterinarians are variously touted, and we will continue to tell the members of the general public that any fish that is dead, the cause of death of which is not known, is not to be consumed. Even our fishermen, when they go to sea on their fishing expedition, they don't harvest dead fish. And when they see that fish floating on the surface of the sea, they don't harvest them. They always trap or harvest live fish. And when they harvest them and haul them into the canoe and they die, at least the cause of death is as a result of having been harvested and hauled into the canoe. That one, the cause of death is known. We are variously educated, and we are still educating members of the public together with FDA that also present members of the public, various inhabitants of the communities, especially Axim and its enclaves, should desist from eating the dolphins that were found at their coast. We must also put on record that dolphins are endangered species. By endangered species, we are saying that they are not allowed to be consumed. Dolphins, whales, and in that group of sea mammals, they are not allowed to be consumed. And we are variously educated members of the public. We have educated the fishermen that when these endangered species, by reason of either the environment having become destabilized, when they are found traumatized or stressed, and they come to the shore, they are to be picked and released beyond the waves, so that at least they can still go back into their natural habitat.
Okay.
But we are still educating. Of course, we are living in a community where at least we'll get about 2 or 3 people who may exhibit deviant behaviors. But we are persistently carrying out public education on that. We have also said, the Honorable Minister said it yesterday when we met the community at Osu. She appealed passionately to members of the public to ensure that, especially those fisher folks, that if they have consumed some of the fish, they should own them. For us to have medical experts monitor them, because we don't know the cause of death of the dolphins and what induced the dolphins to come to the shore. I must also place on record that the dolphins that were found at Axim, they were not dead. They were just rather when the people who just on them picked them out of the sea onto the bare land, and that they died because they were seen alive at the shore. In fact, about 2-3 meters of the sand into the sea. So that's what happened. We have also, the Honorable Minister also appealed to the public to also look out for unwholesome fish on the market.
Okay. Mr. Atadazi, hold on for me and let me bring in another person into this discussion. As you can see there, we have visuals that are showing you some of the dolphins that were killed or that died. But we know that some of them were chopped up into little pieces and were being prepared for sale, especially in Axim. But let me bring in Dr. Nanaba Redu. He's a member, a board member of the Board of Advisors for Earthright, an NGO that works in tourism and environmental and an environmentalist he is. Nana, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What do you make of all that's happening?
Well, for me, I'm speaking purely from the angle of the environmentalist. I do not have any technical degrees in oceanography or this. What I am seeing here, as far as I'm concerned, is that, as you know, fish migrate. These fish were migrating from the south, where they had been for the summer. Now there is spring and summer in the north, and they were migrating into the warm waters. Now, if they are dead and washed ashore, there is one thing in nature. Any fish that dies from natural causes in the ocean is never washed ashore. It is only when there is other reason for their death that they are washed ashore. And so here, if you look at how many of them have been washed ashore, the thing is that they were migrating to the north. Now, if they are dead, and them are saying when they opened the fish up, whatever they found there, sticky or starchy or whatever they were, was an indication that they had taken in something which was adverse to their own consumption patterns. The food they had taken in was not the kind of right food they would take in. Now, if you know the nature of how they feed, normally they will move, in this case here, they move within just about in the size of about 5 football fields, moving, a stretch together. So they open their mouths, and whatever there is there catches into their mouths. If you look at the geographical location of where this thing happened, it happened within the areas of the oil wells. And so the next thing you want to think about is that, was there any oil going into their system that was not in agreement with their own biological composition, and therefore they died? That is very possible. Now, if that is so, then my rationalization here is that there is the possibility of oil from oil tankers into the ocean system at the same time as they were migrating north. And this happens when an ocean tanker is traveling to the oil wells to take in oil.
Okay.
It cannot be on the high seas empty, because no ship travels on the high seas empty. You have to take in a certain amount of load to balance the ship as it stays on the ocean. Now, what happened here is that when the ships reach within the area where they are going to take their oil stock, they flush out their hold. That means that they clean the oil base to put in another oil. When you go to the thermal oil refinery, they will tell you there is always a residual oil for them to cleanse or for them to discard. Here, when they flush out this oil, they flush it into the sea, which is not right. International Maritime Organization frowns on them and always imposes a fine for the cleanup of that ocean.
Okay, Doc, hang on for me and let me.
That is done.
Hang on for me, Doc. Let me bring in the Fisheries Commission at this point and see if we can get a little bit of clarity on what he has said earlier. Ms. Atadazi, you indicated that the preliminary investigations show that the dolphins were traumatized. We've seen a lot of reasons that could have happened in this one based on the explanations that Nana is giving. What details did they give? How does a dolphin get traumatized?
Thank you very much. It could be as a result of several factors. when these dolphins migrate using the ecosystem.
Hang on, Mr. Atta, let me come in there again. So I'm asking for the specifics of what the preliminary.
Specifics, you see,
if you let me land, you'll understand where I'm coming from.
Investigations into the intestines, whatever is inside the body, the offers. It will be very difficult to talk about traces of petrochemicals, if any.
So I don't want to, Mr. Tadazi, I don't want to get confused. That's where you're taking me now. So let me bring you back to my question. My question is, the results that we got from your preliminary investigations, what the details I was giving you, you indicated to us that they said they observed that the dolphins were traumatized. What does it mean for dolphins to be traumatized? Did they give you that?
Let me explain.
Please.
Well, what the fish health veterinarians indicated was that from their initial observations of the fish, they were not ruling out the fact that the fishes have been traumatized. One, because they were washed to the shore alive. They were not dead. They had become destabilized, disoriented, because that was not their habitat. Now, once they are able to establish that initial observation, it could have also been that they could have said that they saw some bruises. Here, they didn't make mention of bruises. If you say there were bruises, then it goes to something else. To them, that's what we have observed. Now, let us take the fish and subject it to pathological examination, where they will examine the gills, they will examine the intestines, and they will examine the flesh, carry out a lot of investigations. It is out of these investigations that then they can conclusively indicate that when we cut the flesh and we subject the flesh to ABC, these were the findings. When we took the liver and then we subjected it to examination, these were the findings.
Okay.
So that is where they are moving towards. And then they will give us the report.
The pathological examination was what you told me on Monday was going to happen. So it hasn't happened yet. How soon? Mr. Tadazi, if you let me land with my question. Thank you. So it was on Monday you said that this examination will be conducted. What I'm trying to find out is now that it is not ready, how much longer do we have to wait for the results?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yesterday, we went to our laboratory with the minister, and they saw with the media, they saw the doctors busily working. Just this afternoon, I spoke with the head of the fish health unit, the leader of the veterinarian, fish health veterinarians, Dr. Zida, and he indicated that the minister has prayed them to at least put in more effort to bring a report to the public. So I'm very optimistic that they will speed up, they will up their game without compromising quality, without compromising effective interrogation of the issue. And then the report that they will bring will be a very good report that will help the way forward.
So how soon you can tell?
Want to be speculative, but I'm so very, very optimistic that between now and when we are able to go over this week, by Monday at least, they'll be able to give us. But I said we are coordinating with Food and Drugs Authority and the two universities to issue a unified report for the general public.
So we don't have any timelines.
We will not release. University of Ghana will not release. University of Cape Coast. We are putting together.
So we don't have any timelines. We don't have any timelines within which we're working.
My sister, I've always indicated we'll release within a reasonable time.
What is reasonable time, Mr. Atadazi, if you can help us with that information? What constitutes reasonable time?
It's a question of fact, depending upon circumstances. Depending upon circumstances. Because I wish I would get your team to the lab if you will be available tomorrow, so that we take you to the lab to see what is going on. And then at least you can also have some information for the consumption of the general public.
Great. Let me wrap up this conversation just to also find out. You mentioned bruises. The dolphins that I'm seeing in my visual right now seem to have something that looks like cuts on their skins. Are those not bruises?
As I indicated, human beings lifted them out of the sea. And when you go to the beach, the way they handle fish, throwing them here and there, they are very heavy. What you see there, they are very heavy. One could be the size of a 10-year-old or 11-year-old child. They are very heavy. So when they lift them, they just jettison them. You see how they are loading them in the car. Look at the way they are handling them, rubbing their bodies against each other, rubbing their bodies against even the vehicle. And even sometimes at the shore, they drag them on the sand. These were not things that were found on them when they were alive.
Okay.
These were occasioned by the way they handled them.
Okay, let me wrap up this conversation. Nana, if you can hear me, I believe you do.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Mr. Atadazi, I think
yes, please.
You were making a point that I interrupted. If you can wrap that for me up in a very few seconds about your response to what Nana Redu was saying, that it is possible that this could have been caused by an oil tanker.
Yeah, Nana is talking from the environmental perspective.
Yeah.
We also collected seawater samples to also subject them to examination, which include, we will look at for environmental factors within the environmental parameters within the seawater that we have collected. And if there was any oil spillage, at least there will be traces of oil in whatever samples that we have collected. So we are not, for now, we are not ruling out any plausible variable. That's the test that we are doing. We are doing a very holistic examination to ensure that whatever results that come out will take care of everything. In the event that findings does not give any traces of oil, any traces of lubricant, whatever it is, the result will indicate. In the unlikely event that there are traces, the result will indicate. That's why I said we didn't only take fish samples. We also took water samples, seawater samples. We also took some of the seaweed that was found at the beach at Axim. That we are also subjecting to examination.
Okay. Nana Radio, let me take your final comments on the back of that.
Well, what I am concerned about is that those along the coastline, 540 kilometers coastline, depend on fish for their feeding, daily food intake and whatnot. Ghanaians consume a lot of fish. I think it must be clear that if this has happened, other fish which we are eating within this time should be taken with a lot of caution.
Okay.
With a lot of caution, because you don't know what else has happened to other fish that are just in our ocean here. We are fish eaters, and we should be warned to be stayed away from that till that result has come in.
Right. Nana, thank you very much for your time. Nana Redu, Dr. Nana Redu, there speaking to us on this matter. I also had Michael Atadazi, who is a CEO for the Fisheries Commission. Nana, by the way, it works with an NGO. He's a member of the Board of Advisors for Earthright, an NGO that works in tourism and environment. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening.
You are welcome.
Well, let's now listen to some residents along the Osu Castle. They say that meals have already been prepared with the fishes that were washed ashore, despite the warning that the FDA has given and what we're just hearing from both the environmentalists and the Fisheries Commission. Take a look.
Okaile operates a drinking spot right at the seashore and explained how the fishes were carried into homes.
Around 12 going, 12 to 1 going, even me home ebi mu kra no am kita robem girls some year 2 and anapa no so ade chen so baby ameti no anapa tutu so me say ma me bi so churo.
In my neighborhood, people took some into polythene bags and sent them away, including a woman who lives nearby. She says her grandchildren brought it from the sea. There are those who think it's just normal.
Anapana me fifi me ba ha no ebimu su ka say ebimu atu fafa dey susun.
Oh yes, that morning I was told the bigger fishes have been sold, and because of their size, they sold out quickly.
Others who live in shacks and around the beach, who spoke to me off camera, said they had consumed the fishes. To others, it was a miracle.
I
was sitting here when I saw them carrying the fish. I was surprised because I had not seen some happen before, so I didn't eat it when they brought it. But some took it home and sold it.
Since you were born, have you seen such miracle at the seashore before?
How old are you? From and I'm much cheap coin. Even for before some guide more beans compo.
The fish is good. Nothing has happened to anyone. People came from town to take some. We don't have
any problem.
This woman says she still has some of the fish in her soup on fire.
Friday, so where be ni wabi ete inshora po ni minga acha me ka je insho minga ba si be na me ba wabi le ko be hin lu agboko ko no kankan ba ni elefen fe ni ke mi wan ka ba ke lo agboko ngba mo le ka mo le insho mi no mi fa service me na ka me ba ko insho na am first am ko insho am first am na ko na am ha ko am na me ba hole akro.
On Friday, we were here whilst our children were at the seashore. They came back with a big fish, which was wagging its tail. So I said the fish is not dead. The children said they got it from the sea. It was first seen by the security men around. They took some, cooked it, and ate it over here. So when the child brought it, we realized it was a good fish. So we removed its scales and chopped it. The fish was healthy. That Sunday, we used it for palm nut soup. So frankly speaking, my family and I ate some of the fish and nothing has happened to us. We had some small ones and we fried it, and these are the bigger ones. I was sitting here when I saw them carrying the fish. I was surprised because I had not seen some happen before, so I didn't eat it when they brought it. But some took it home and sold it.
The Fisheries Ministry has advised those who have consumed these fishes to come forward, even as authorities try to unravel the circumstances leading to the death of these fishes.
Well, Kokwasante filed that report. Now, away from that, stranded Form 3 students of the Nalarugu Senior High School say they have been denied food on campus. They're asking for help to travel back home. Now, on Tuesday, the Ghana Education Service rescheduled the reopening for senior high school from 3 students to May 5. Listen to some of the students.
It is 7:00 p.m. and I'm here at the Nalirugu Senior High School, where I have come to follow up on the impact of the unexpected and totally confusing decision by education authorities to postpone the reopening of senior high schools for Form 3 students across the country. The students, some of who had traveled this morning from distant locations, were left stranded after they were told to go back home and return on the 5th of next month. One girl from Konongo in the Ashanti region broke down in tears after she was informed of the new arrangement. Some of them quickly returned, but others had complained of having no money to fare themselves back home. But tonight, the situation of these stranded students appeared to have worsened as they claim they have been denied food and left angry by authorities in the school. Sharifa is one of them from Boko in the Upper East region.
We just heard the news unexpected and we didn't trust it. We wanted to hear it from the headmaster. So when we came, we took breakfast in the morning, but they said it's compulsory for us to go back home and come back on the 5th of next month. So lunch and supper we didn't take. We have to depend on our chop boxes, what we have. They said if we stay, we will not get anything from the dining hall.
This student from Bunkurgu said she had been on campus since Saturday, waiting for the start of teaching this week, only to be told to go back home.
I came here on Saturday. Where I'm coming from is very far. And for now, the news we heard is unexpected. I was not thinking that I'll come here and go back again. The money they gave me, it has finished. I used it for lorry fare. Now I don't have lorry fare to go back. I'm now there. And they said, if you're here, they'll punish us. Or if you're even there, by tomorrow we have to leave because we will not get food from the dining hall. They will not feed us. In the morning, we went for breakfast. The lunch, they said no, they won't serve us. Evening too, we didn't go for dining again. Now, they said it's compulsory for us to leave. So we are just going to manage and leave the campus.
Here is another student, Matilda from Tamale.
We have to pack and go home because they say if we stay on campus, we'll not be fed by the dining hall. Because we had made our mind that the date they have given to us, we have to come. And we came now, we made lorry fares and we came in. And now they are asking us to go back. Many of us here have no lorry fare again to go back. So then the news we heard is so bad because some of us, our places are far. We only took our breakfast, but lunch and supper was denied. And we have to go home because if we stay here, it means we will not get any food from the school dining hall. And we can also depend on our boxes because depending on your box alone may not be enough for you to complete the term.
A senior staff of the school who was with the students at the time of this interview declined to comment and only preferred to speak off record. Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
You're welcome back. President Akufo-Addo is promising to build a 5 million city administration office to help effective delivery of the Head of State Award scheme. The scheme, which is part of the President's charity project, is a non-formal education program that provides opportunities for young people to develop essential life skills, complementing their formal education. He was speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony for the project.
Till date, some 750,000 young people have participated and benefited from the award scheme, which has an average annual participation of some 15,000 young people. I've always been excited about the work being done by the award scheme, and that is why I continue to urge them to ensure that as many young Ghanaians as possible benefit from it. To achieve this ambitious target, a befitting administrative office for the scheme will be required. The provision of a Ghana Award House to serve this purpose is my commitment towards driving the agenda of the award scheme. Once completed, The Ghana Award House project will be a 2-story office block with a 200-capacity conference room and training facility designed to house the National Secretariat of the Head of State Award Scheme. It will be constructed at a cost of 5 million cedis, and it will help drive growth, impact, and the effective and efficient delivery of the award scheme to all young people in Ghana and beyond.
President Akufo-Addo, he further stated that Ghana will be the second country in Africa to have its own office for the scheme, promising the project will be completed in the next 36 weeks.
The completion of the Ghana Award House project will put Ghana ahead of many of the countries running the Duke of Africa of Edinburgh's International Award, since most of them do not have an office of their own. Ghana will be the second country in Africa after the President's Award of Kenya, and one of the few countries globally to have its own administrative office. Ladies and gentlemen, I place great hope in the capacity of Ghanaian youth to shape our future and make Ghana truly the Black Star of Africa. This is the reason why government, since 2017, continues to invest heavily in the development and education of our young people. I'm happy to announce that in support of the operation of the Award Secretariat, its operational costs will continue to be borne by the Office of the President under the direct supervision of the Chief of Staff. Vehicles are also to be allocated to the Secretariat for its use. In addition to the 1 million cedi contribution to this project, government pledges to do what it can to ensure that the project is completed in the next 36 weeks.
Well, that's President Akufo-Addo there. Let's take a look at COVID-19 numbers according to the Ghana Health Service. Well, we'll bring you that. But let's take a look abroad. We're going to Germany now, weekly crossover. It's like many other countries. The country is still crumbling to find a way out of the pandemic. Public life in Europe's largest economy has now been mostly shut down since November of last year, without managing to significantly bring down infection rates. Now, though, the country is hoping to take a much-needed step ahead in the fight against COVID-19. For more on this, let's bring in DW's Nicole Frolish, who's joining us from Berlin. Nicole, vaccination efforts in the EU have become somewhat of a sore subject. Germany has now entered the second phase of the inoculation drive. Will this help the speed of vaccinations to pick up?
Well, that is the plan and certainly the hope. As part of the second phase, general practitioners will be allowed to administer shots to eligible citizens. That sounds great, and it is a step many have been pushing for a long time, but there are caveats, and those are not to be ignored. For the time being, only 35,000 practices in Germany will be authorized to administer shots, and even though doctors say they are ready to hit the ground running, for starters, they'll only receive an average of 27, and it is a step many have been pushing for a long time, but there are caveats, and those are not to be ignored. For the time being, only 35,000 practices in Germany will be authorized to administer shots, and even though doctors say they are ready to hit the ground running, for starters, they'll only receive an average of 27 doses per week. That number will increase with time, but this still might not turn out to be the boost Germany's vaccination drive needs. The group of eligible citizens is still far too small to really curb infections, and the country doesn't have enough doses. That is why experts are now demanding another additional step be taken. They want to space first and booster shots further apart and use doses that were initially intended for one same person on 2 people. They believe that would provide basic protection for a segment of the population large enough to effectively push back against the virus and take an important load of the country's health system.
Well, Germany has also been in lockdown for over 150 days now. How much longer will this go on?
Well, that's an excellent question, and one many people here in Germany would like to know the answer to. There might not be a topic more hotly debated in the country at this point than the never-ending shutdown. Despite rising case numbers, some state leaders are currently trying their hand at an easing of restrictions. The western state of Saarland, for example, started a pilot project on Tuesday, reopening theaters, gyms, and outdoor restaurants for people with negative test results. Others continue to push for a complete lockdown until infection rates are suppressed. The latest politician to propose that was Armin Laschet. He's the head of Angela Merkel's CDU and the premier of Germany's most populous state. He came up with what he calls a bridge lockdown, a new term for a concept that has long been on the table. He made headlines last week after the chancellor publicly called him out on not following rules that all state leaders, him included, had agreed on. He then struggled to save face and has, over the Easter holidays, seemingly fallen in line. That back and forth is quite descriptive of the situation in the entire country. Measures are fought over, announced, never imposed, or apologetically retracted. And if that sounds confusing, well, you're not alone. 63% of Germans say they are disoriented by the current rules, and close to 50% would like to see tighter measures rather than an easing of restrictions at this point.
Again, very interesting point there. Finally, Nicole, in Germany, the military has been helping out in the fight against the pandemic. Now, the German army has launched a controversial new volunteer scheme for the domestic engagements. Give us more information on that.
The German defense minister launched the one-year Fight and Help program under the slogan, Your Year for Germany, which, according to her, is a flexible way of serving one's country. It's a combination of traditional basic military instruction followed by volunteer-specific training, and then at some point of the next 6 years, the volunteer will be called upon to serve for 5 months. Volunteers would only be deployed domestically and preferably close to their place of residence in response to natural disasters, health emergency like the COVID pandemic, for example, or even protection of property. Now, while those who came up with it branded as an opportunity to experience military service without fearing a deployment abroad, many civil society organizations who heavily rely on volunteer work have called the defense ministry out for their move. They accuse the army of trying to solve their recruitment problems by luring young, impressionable adults with money that some defense analysts say would be better invested in the army's infrastructure, which is in dire need of modernization.
Nicole, thank you very much. Nicole Frolish there. She's correspondent with our partners, DW, and she joined us all the way from Berlin. Well, here's what it looks like for us here in Ghana. 63 new cases. That's amazingly dramatic. 63 new cases, away from the 400 and the thousands that we were recording over the past couple of weeks. Now, our active cases, 1,447 so far. But of course, the number of people who have died remains 752, with so far 91,009 cases confirmed. Mind you, Brazil is doing terribly with its handling of the pandemic. Details of that you can find also on myjoyonline.com. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll do some sports.